Welcome to the Desert Scene. My name is Bonnie G. We are so excited today to have as our guest Eileen Barnett. She is doing a wonderful cabaret show at Coachella Valley Repertory on May 26th. Hi, Eileen. How are you?
Hi. How are you?
Good. Welcome to the show. So happy to be chatting with you today.
Well, I'm thrilled that we're talking. This is great.
So before we get into the actual show, I wanted to go back a little bit and talk about your background. So I understand you started your professional career in Chicago. So tell us a little bit about, did you always know you wanted to be a performer?
Always. They said I was singing at 2. I mean, of course, I don't remember. And I had a very naughty uncle who taught me to sing a song that went something like this. I mean, they told me I did this. I don't remember. Take it off, cried the boys in the rear. They got it. When I was a little girl, I was starting to sing.
Okay.
Yeah, I always did, and my parents were great because they gave me lessons and stuff, and so I was able to prepare for the career, and I just always knew that was what I wanted to do.
So you started in Chicago, then did you go from there to New York?
Sort of like that. I mean, I got a little waylaid because I started in Chicago when I was still in high school. I got my equity card and did some summer stock for several years, and a couple of things happened to me. I went to college at the University of Iowa. At 20, which wasn't a really good idea, I got married and went off somewhere, and then I finally got back to New York. And my first job in New York was I was a pit singer in company.
Oh, great.
In the original company. I was a replacement, so I'm not on the original album or anything, but I was a replacement, and it was a really cool job to have, walking into the stage door of a Broadway theater and signing in, and it was just thrilling.
Yeah.
It was thrilling. Yeah.
And you also, I understand, starred in the award-winning musical 9. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that was several years later. I was in New York, and then I left New York to go to Las Vegas to do a show there. And then from Vegas, I moved to Los Angeles, where we can talk about that later, but I did a lot of television and stuff. And then they were going to do a tour of 9. And they went all over the country looking for people. There was a big audition here in L.A. And, I mean, I can remember, we were at the Schubert Theater, which is no more, and I can remember that people like Katherine Grayson were there.
Wow.
I mean, it was crazy, the people they saw. So we all got flown to New York, the ones that they liked, and they had this big audition there. It was like the Miss America contest. You had to sing a song in a foreign language. You had to just walk on the stage. They had to see how you moved, and then you sang songs that you were for the character you were auditioning for. And so I was staying with my girlfriend, and I got a phone call from the producer, and he said, "I have good news and bad news. The bad news is the tour is not going to happen right now. The good news is that we'd like you to replace in New York."
Wow.
And I just nearly fainted, and it was a wonderful role. It was the wife. And so after Raul Julia left the show, Sergio Franchi went in, and I went in with him. So it was such a wonderful thing. I mean, I'd always wanted to create a role on Broadway, but this was pretty close.
Yeah. So let's switch gears and talk about the television that you did. Days of Our Lives, Falcon Crest, a number of things.
Yeah. It wasn't actually Falcon Crest is not what I was on. I was on Knots Landing.
Oh, okay.
Sort of similar time-wise, yeah. I did a recurring role on Knots Landing with Michael York. I played opposite Michael York, which was also kind of thrilling. I can remember we'd sit in the makeup trailer, and he would recite poetry. Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh,
Michael York and that. Oh my God, it was just dreamy. It was so dreamy. But I did a lot of guest spots. I think my first one. Oh my gosh, I'm going back so many years. It was a Quincy, and then I did a couple of Happy Days, and some other things in between. And then I got a role as a resident villain on Days of Our Lives, and I was there for a couple of years and had a wonderful, wonderful time. Yeah, it was just great. I was there with Susan Seaforth and Bill Hayes, and have remained friends with Bill. We used to be in a tap class together in recent memory, and then continued. Let's see, I did not. I recently did a Blackish. It's just I never really got a series, but I've been in a lot of shows, did a lot of sitcoms. It was, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So
it's been a good career.
Let's switch to this particular show, You Must Believe in Spring, which I love that title. Tell me how you came up with the title and how you chose the songs for this show.
Well, there is a song by Michel Legrand and the Bergmans called You Must Believe in Spring. And I heard Tony Bennett, a recording of Tony Bennett and Bill Evans doing it. And I just fell in love with that song. And there's another, I do kind of close my show with that song. And then in the beginning, I do another song about spring that's from A New Brain, about feeling there's so much spring. And I just think spring is sort of a metaphor for, for just wonderful things starting to happen.
Right.
And, my club act isn't really, I'm not doing like 17 songs about spring. That would be kind of boring. But a friend of mine once said to me, when you go see a cabaret act, pardon me, you should know the person better when you leave than when you walked in, the person that's performing.
Yes.
And so basically, I have found songs that sort of have taken me on the road of my career. I do a whole piece of special material that I wrote about how, I always wanted to be this ingenue soprano because that's where my voice always was lying. And, and they just didn't see me that way. I was a little bit too dark and whatever. But, so I'm doing a song from Jacques Brel. I'm doing, let's see, what else am I doing? I'm doing some standards. There's a whole section where I talk about my dad, who had been a documentary film cameraman back in the early days of television with Edward R. Murrow, and I found a song that kind of, says something about that. And I have a wonderful song that Billy Barnes, I don't know if you know who he was, but
I know the name.
Amazing. Yeah, Billy had these Billy Barnes reviews back in the 50s, I guess, and 60s in L.A., and then he was like the guy that wrote all the special material for Laugh-In, all the music. He wrote special songs for lots of ladies, Juliet Prowse to Karen Morrow to so many people. And he wrote me a couple. He wrote me a very funny song about being on a soap opera.
Oh, great.
And then, it was really funny. And then he wrote me one when I got married called The Valley. And it's about the fact that I moved to the Valley because my husband had a house here. And it's, again, he wrote it for me a long time ago. I've been married a long time, but I'll tell you, he was so good, and his punchlines never fail. They're really wonderful. So it's basically an act. It isn't an act where I say, I did this role and I do a song from that, and I did this role and I did that role. It's not like that, but you do get to know me,
So a friend of mine, I'm a singer too, and I've done some cabaret stuff, and a friend of mine here in Palm Springs who does cabaret, and I don't think this was his original, but he said to me once, someone told him, cabaret is the art of being yourself on stage on purpose.
Exactly.
And I love that.
Really
I just think
is.
that's such a great quote. So I love to, because since I'm a singer, I love to talk to other singers about your process and your, do you have any rituals that you do? Do you pray? Do you meditate? Do you have a lucky ring that you wear? What your process is before the show.
Well, I don't have any lucky rabbit's feet or anything like that. But I haven't been singing for a while, and when I'm not working, well, actually, I did a couple of evenings here, where I was one singer. We did a Sondheim tribute, but when I haven't been singing, I really need to work with my recordings that I have from my voice teacher and really get my stamina back.
Yeah.
Because, when you sing a lot and you haven't sung, you get a little hoarse.
Yeah.
Don't you feel that way? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I've been trying for the last month or so to sing every single day as soon as I knew I had this, and to go through the whole act and just really try to keep my stamina up. And then I, of course, anguish over what am I going to wear.
Of course, yeah.
It drives me crazy. And I have a few options. I bought something new, and now I'm looking at it and going, "Oh my God, that's awful! It's tacky. It's awful." Yeah. But it looked good in the store. I don't know, but I'll wear something, and try to have shoes that aren't too uncomfortable. The last time I did my show at the Colony Theater, I had these gorgeous black shoes, really high heels, and they were so beautiful. And I took them off in the middle of the show.
Yeah,
they hurt so much. I said, "You saw them? Okay, I'm taking them off."
Yeah. How long is your show?
It's about an hour.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe a little more. It's hard to tell. I've been trying to time it, but it's always different with an audience, you know, and the stuff that comes up. But I would say it's an hour, not longer than an hour 10.
I think that's a good length for a cabaret show. So have you been to Palm Springs before? Have you performed here before?
Well, a long time ago, my friend, who Clifford Bell.
I love him to death, yes.
I love him too. We did some show with Sharon McKnight and a couple other people at, I can't even remember the name of the hotel, but it was called Hanging On by a Thread.
Oh,
and
yes.
It was a little review. Do you remember that?
Yes.
It was a little review that we did, and they would put us up, and we'd come there and do one or two shows and then drive back. But other than that, I hadn't been there for a long time. I went up to my voice teacher, Calvin Remsburg, had passed away, and there was a memorial service, and I went up about a month ago for that, and my God, has it changed. It's more built up, and it's just fabulous. And so many friends of mine have moved there.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people are moving there. Yes.
Yeah. So all these wonderful people that I've worked with in New York and LA, they all live in Palm Springs now.
It's a little bit slower lifestyle, not as much traffic, but there's still a lot of entertainment going on. So I always like to ask other singers, when you get time off, I know the pandemic, we're all locked up, but when you get time off and go and get a chance to go see somebody else, another singer, what do you look for? What do you want to see from another performer?
Oh, that's a really great question. It depends who it is. Like there's some people that are just great singers, technically. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of like to look at their technique. I like to see, how they're managing, especially women, their belt from their head voice, how seamless that can be. Mm-hmm. But generally, I like to see some vulnerability. I don't want someone to just get up there and belt song after song after song. I just like them to, I like to see vulnerability. I want to see who they are. And, I haven't done my act for a while, but I've gone to see some people, and it really inspires me to want to get up there and do it again. Mm-hmm. And I'm really glad that, I still sound pretty good, for a gal my age. You worry about that vibrato.
Sure. Yes.
I don't have that, thank God.
I don't. I'm not a big fan of a lot of vibrato. So I want to get this in. Make sure we get this in. The show is May 26th, 7 p.m. at CV Rep, which is a gorgeous theater, fabulous. Tickets are $35. You can get them. You can call CV Rep 760-296-2966 or go to cvrep.org. And do you have a trio behind you, or what's your backup?
It's just a pianist. His name is Michael Collum, Collum.
Oh, yes, I know who he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's so adorable. I mean, if he didn't play well, it wouldn't matter because he's so cute. And no, it would matter. But it's the first time we've actually done the act together. So we've been rehearsing here in L.A. and it's just going to be him this time. Yeah. Maybe next year I'll add a trio. We'll see.
But I just did a cabaret show. I like cabaret shows where it's just a piano because it's so personal, makes it so personal and intimate.
Yeah.
And allows you to really get to know the person, I think, a little better.
Oh, it does. And it's my favorite thing to do. I just love doing it. And I thought, why have I been away from, the pandemic, but even before that, a couple of years, I kind of was away from it for so long. And it makes me so happy just to work on it, and then to actually do it with an audience. That's the most fun. So, I love it. I just absolutely love it.
One more question for you, Eileen. What's on your bucket list? Is there anything you haven't done, a role you really want to do?
Well, it used to be when I was younger, Aldonza, but I've done that.
Okay.
So and that was I've done that a few times. I just love Aldonza.
Yeah.
And now I did a reading of this once, The Light in the Piazza, to play the mother. Oh my God, what a fabulous role that is! What a gorgeous score! I just love that score. But I don't know. I think I've done a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do, and some of it may have already passed me by. I'd love to do a little night music. I'd probably have to do the Hermione Gingold part now. But I wanted to do what's her name, the Glynis Johns role.
Yeah.
But send in the clowns role.
Yeah.
That would have been nice. But I'm really happy doing cabaret, and I've done so many musicals. And, Showboat was a favorite role of mine, playing Julie. I played that a lot. I did a lot. And, So.
Well, Eileen Barnett, what a joy to talk to you. Best of luck on the show. Again, May 26th, 7 p.m. at CV Rep. Tickets $35. Call 760-296-2966 or go to cvrep.org. Thank you so much for being with us, and break a leg. Have a wonderful show.
Well, thank you so much. I hope to see you in the flesh someday.
I hope so. All right. Best of luck. Eileen Barnett, thank you so much. And we'll see you next time on The Desert Scene.